Hey everybody, Scott Coppage here, all about Home Building Group. That's me up in the upper right hand corner. Today I want to discuss just for a few minutes about FSBOs. So what's a FSBO? Well, a FSBO is a for sale by owner. A FSBO is a seller, a home seller, is trying to sell his own home without the representation of a professional realtor. So what's the big deal about a FSBO? And it's not really a huge deal about it, except that sometimes it's appropriate for you to sell your own house, and other times it's more appropriate to hire a professional to do it. So what's the big deal about selling your house? Well, obviously, for most people, your home is your largest asset, and there's huge risks you're taking here in a number of different ways. So what's the big deal? Well, as a home seller, you have every right to sell your home if that's what you want to do. And that's what we want to discuss today. So, well, let's take a look. After all, 9 to 11% of homes are sold by their sellers. So let's discuss the pros and cons. After all, at the end of the day, it's really about how can I get the most from a house. So what's the big deal? Let's take a look. On the plus side for the sellers, they typically save the 6% realtor commission, and they have more control. On the other hand, sellers are exposing themselves and their families to additional safety risks by showing their home to strangers. Most professional realtors have procedures in place to mitigate those risks. Not to mention that a great deal of buyers that are attracted to FSBOs want owner financing. They want special deals. They want special concessions. And so not only is the seller exposed to a lot of potential risk from strangers, but you're exposed to a lot of buyers that just don't have the cash to buy the house. Also, if you've ever tried to market a home, it is a lot of work. It takes a lot of money. There are just a number of different resources out there to market a home, and they all cost money. Also, disclosures. The state and federal government have a number of regulations that require certain types of disclosures and discrimination rules and so forth that a seller needs to be familiar with. And also, contracts and paperwork can be quite extensive. But all those obstacles can be overcome by a seller. It all boils down to one thing, and that's money. A seller wants to know how can they get the most for their house. Should they sell it themselves and save their commission, or should they give it to a professional realtor? Well, here are the facts the way I look at it. If that seller knows that there's been 2 to 4 houses, per se, that have sold in their area, on their street, or in their subdivision, in the last 6 months or so, and he knows the prices of those houses, he knows those houses are just exactly like his, in the same condition with the same features, well, then he has a very good idea what his house is worth. So he may not need a realtor to do a comparative marketing analysis for that house. The second thing that seller needs is a buyer. Now, if he has a friend or relative, someone at work that wants to buy his house at the price that he's determined, then he probably does not need a realtor. He can go to a title company and get the paperwork taken care of, and surround himself with some other people that are knowledgeable in the area, and probably do just fine. But other than that, you really need to consult with the pros, and that's a professional realtor. So why a professional realtor? Well, for the same reason you wanted to sell it yourself to begin with, the money, of course. Let's take a look at the facts. Marketing a home is expensive. You know, we said like 9 to 11% of FSBOs are sold in this country per year. 88% of FSBOs end up being sold by realtors. People get tired of waiting for buyers because they don't have the marketing expertise to reach out to buyers and find someone to buy their home. And here's another big fact. Look at number 3 there. Realtors get about 16% more for their home, for a home for sale, than a FSBO will, because of their marketing skill and their market analysis skill. They'll actually make the sellers 16% more money. Now, the commissions are 6% typically, But on the average, the realtors get 16% more for the homes. So you can pretty quickly do the math. As a result, unrepresented sellers, FSBOs, usually are penny wise and dollar foolish. FSBOs often end up showing their home to a much smaller universe of buyers, and they don't realize how much they could get if they exposed their property to all interested buyers out there. Let's face it, it's not wise to be your own lawyer or doctor, and it's typically not in your best interest to market and sell your biggest asset. Leave it to the trained professionals. Call a realtor. This is Scott Coppett, all about Homes Realty Group. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great day.